Alrighty, so we are working on enlarging and reducing shapes using ratios. So we have this rectangle here, and it says to enlarge the rectangle by a ratio of 3 to 2. All right, so we can read these ratios many different ways. This is obviously as a fraction, 3 over 2, but when we see that fraction bar, we can think 3 to 2, or 3 for every 2. All those different ways that we know how to read those ratios. So if I look at this rectangle here, I see it has that base or length of 6 and the height of 3. Okay, so as I'm looking at this, before we even get to drawing anything or reducing, enlarging, whatever, let's just take a look at this ratio a little more. So we have to first think, is this ratio bigger than 1, smaller than 1, or equal to 1? Okay, so as I look at 3 to 2, I recognize that that numerator is bigger than our denominator. Okay, so this is a fraction greater than 1, or a ratio greater than 1. And as we briefly mentioned before, when we have something bigger than 1, when we're using a ratio bigger than 1, our shape is going to get bigger. So it does say enlarge, which is another clue that our shape will be getting bigger. But it's never a bad idea to check and just make sense of the ratio that we're thinking about and that we're using. So 3 to 2. Now again, before we even draw anything, what does that mean? How are we even going to enlarge this or use this ratio? So a little phrase that I like to think about that really helps me think about ratios, because sometimes these can be really tricky. And so 3 to 2, I like to think of it like this and kind of fill in the blanks. I'm going to say draw blank for every blank. Okay, and I'm going to fill in those blanks with our ratio in the order we see it, top to bottom. Okay, so draw a blank for every blank is, again, that phrase that I use. Draw 3 is the first number we come to, so I'm going to say draw 3 for every 2. Draw 3 for every 2. Okay, so what that means is I'm going to start with my base here. I'm going to draw 3 units for every 2 units that I see. So I'm going to circle a group of 2, and that's going to grow to 3. Draw 3 units for every 2 units that I see. So there's 2 units, so I'm going to turn this into 3. 1, 2, 3. That 2 grew to 3. Now, do I see another group of 2 units here? I sure do. I kind of overdrew on that one. Oops. Draw 3 for every 2. So I see another group of 2. I'm gonna draw another group of 3 units. And I see it back on my original shape, another group of 2. So I'm going to draw another group of 3. So this 2 grew to 3 units. This 2 units grew to 3 units. This grew to 3 units here. So my side length of 6 actually grew to a side length of 9. Okay, and I'm going to use that same strategy from this side here. I have just every 2 units I see, I'm going to turn it into 3. So 1, 2 units here. I have a whole group of 2 units. I'm going to turn that into 3 units along this side. Okay, so that group of 2 grew to 3 units along the side. Now, I only have 1 unit left over here. I wanted a group of 2, but I only have 1. So I have half of what I need. So that means I should draw half of what I'm supposed to. So instead of drawing 3, I'm going to draw 1.5. That's half of 3. So my side length of 3 grew to a side length of 4.5. And with rectangles, we know that opposite sides are the same. So if the height over here is a total of 4.5, I can complete the rectangle. 1, 2, 3, 4.5 here. And then connect those sides for 9. So we enlarged this rectangle, the 6 by 3 rectangle. We enlarged it at a ratio of 3 to 2, and it grew to a 9 by 4.5 rectangle. And again, using this phrase, draw a blank for every blank, filling it in the order you read that ratio can really help you organize your thinking and think, how many units am I supposed to draw? What kind of groups am I looking for? Okay, and we can check, did our shape get bigger? Yes, it did get bigger. I can see that that shape is bigger. Let's try one more, okay? Let's say I want to reduce now. I'm going to reduce the rectangle. Okay, reduce the rectangle by a ratio of 1 to 3. Okay, or 1 for every 3, 1 to 3. Again, all those great ways we can read ratios. So first thing that I always do, like I said, is I write out that phrase, draw blank for every blank, okay? And again, it says reduce, so we're expecting right away that we're going to be drawing a shape smaller than our original shape. And also I see the ratio or the fraction 1 to 3, 1/3. That is smaller than 1. So again, anytime we're using a ratio smaller than 1, our shape we're going to expect to get smaller. So all those clues, again, we want to check and make sure, check our thinking, make sure we're doing the right thing here, and then write out this phrase. Draw a blank for every blank. Draw a blank for every blank. Draw a blank for every blank. It's my newest and latest t-shirt I'm going to make. Got a lot of t-shirts to make this year. All right, so I'm going to fill this in. Draw, the first number I see is 1. Draw 1 for every 3. Draw 1 for every 3. So for every 3 units I see, if I circle a group of 3 units, I see a group of 3 right here. It says draw 1 for every group of 3. So I found a group of 3. I'm going to turn that into a group of 1. Woo. All right, let's see. Do I have any other groups of 3 here? I sure do. Group of 3. Another group of 1. So this group of 3 turned into a group of 1. This group of 3 turned into a group of 1. So my length of 6 is now, look at that, a length of 2. Interesting. That looks a lot tinier. Kind of looks silly. All right, let's look at our height now. We have nothing left of our length or our base, so we don't have any, so we're done with that side. Okay. Now let's look at our height of 3. All right, so I'm going to circle a group of 3. Look at that. That's our entire height. So our new height just turns into a group of 1. Just a little bitty rectangle. And again, I can complete those sides. I know with a rectangle, those opposite sides are the same. So our reduced shape went from a 6 by 3 rectangle, and it definitely got smaller, right? It got way smaller. Now we have a 2 by 1 rectangle. So we reduced that rectangle by a ratio of 1 to 3. We drew 1 unit for every 3 units that we saw, just looking at those side lengths. Okay, we are going to continue working on these ratios on the next problem or slide that you guys have. You guys are going to be trying one of these on your own. If it's something that you feel still feeling like you struggle with, don't worry, we're going to keep working on these. Okay, so we might not have it yet, but we will keep working on these. So just keep trying. I'm really proud of you guys. All right, keep up the great work.